The craziest thing Lance said was when he tried to shame you about another person's sensations. Then at the end, he said, I want more freedom, more people, and more orgasms, to which I said, that was weird. So weird. The left does this thing where, well, I'll say this about Lance. He had a lot of canned responses. And like, that's why I asked him, like, same thing with Matt Binder. Matt Binder says, you think trans people don't exist. I said, what does that mean? Lance said, you're in favor of forced birth. I'm like, define that. What does that mean? I don't know what you're saying. Because these are just like, I heard someone say it, I'm repeating it. And so in this circumstance, the left has this repetitious tactic of, why are you talking about someone else's junk? That's weird. And I'm just like, bro, you're not going to shame me. I'm having a conversation about fact things and human development. Well, it's right out of rules. Like, you're not going to appeal to my shame, like to shame, because, like, to quote Rick, your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer.
There was a little bit of shame going in both directions when you were like, there is a trans genocide and you're the one that's causing it. But you guys got past it. It was a little moment where it was like, kind of got weird.
But there's no shame for me because these people hold no esteem in my mind. Like, people who are in favor of like performing these things on children, I am not going to go, oh no, do they think lowly of me? Oh geez, the groomers think poorly of me. I'm like, I don't care. These people are evil. I've seen what makes them cheer. Yeah. So when he's like, isn't that weird? You think that? I'm like, bro, you are the guys doing the sex shows and then wanting kids to be present. Well, this like, is you're not shaming me.
Well, on that last point, I think there is,
well, the left, because the left is sterilizing them.
Right. We talked about that with Lance. We talked about the left like say there's a trans genocide, and I'm like, well, I agree. I think it's when you sterilize trans people, it's prevent them from reproducing. I seriously think so. I mean, it's terrifying.
Well, yeah.
I would prefer it if they would stop.
I don't know. Just Seamus always tells me that I'm racist for bringing up these Irish jokes, and here he is. He's just going off.
I'm allowed to, though.
I'm Irish too.
No, remember when Lance told you what your ethnicity is?
Yeah, when he said that, although I'm not white, I'm white.
Exactly. So I'm telling you, although you're Irish, you're
the
not.
left is a cult.
Yes.
We had Lance from the Serfs on this show who admitted, I asked him, okay, earmuffs for your kids. I'll keep it family friendly to the best of my abilities. I said, if you went into MGM National Harbor, it's just south of DC, it's this big shopping center casino, and loudly proclaimed what you previously said, and what did he say? Let's just put it this way. He claimed that if a male engaged in adult activities with a biological male who was trans, it wasn't in fact gay. He said it in a different way. The
much more graphic.
Much more
graphic description.
And I said, if you ask the average person, would they agree with you? He said, no, of course not. I'm like, you're in a cult. They're extremists. And the people who watch this show probably already agree with me when we say these people are in a cult. Because you can have a leftist like Lance from the Serfs on the show overtly say he's pro-abortion at any time, for any period, for any reason. Matt Binder, a leftist, say the exact same thing. Sitting next to Seamus Coughlin, a Catholic conservative pro-lifer who wants abortion banned outright, and me saying, well, I think there should be some restrictions, but maybe only after viability, which is the middle. And the person on the left says, you're all far right. Like, right. If my opinion is the average opinion based on polling, then what are they talking about? They're just lying.
He was on, and we talked about it. Lance was on the show a little while ago, and then I saw him retweet a day or two after the shooting, the headline about how the shooter had shared stuff from Timcast. I was like, dude, you were on the show.
I know, right?
You were like on the show with us like 2 days ago.
Yeah, well, but he exemplifies perfectly the cult. One, he said that, I'll keep it very, very family friendly, that a male engaging in relations with a male of a specific nature was not gay. And that he also recognized every single person would disagree with that stance. Meaning, like, he's aware he's this weird outlier of fringe belief. He's also aware that on this show, I said, I think, he was like, you think Blair White should use a men's room? I was like, no, I think Blair White should use the bathroom where she looks and most fits in, and Buck Angel too, so it'll probably create more problems. And he's like, oh, that's really woke. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. Maybe if you watched the show, you wouldn't call me right wing. But he doesn't watch the show. So he tweets out, the right finally admits that the grooming thing was about indoctrinating kids into queer lifestyles, and they think it's sexual. And I'm like, finally admits? That's like literally the premise of the whole thing. The trans pedagogy document shared by James Lindsay about getting glitter on the carpet that can never be removed is the basis of the entire argument the whole time. and they don't watch the show. They have no idea what's being said.
The graph that Lance was showing about left-handedness, that's why it's all BS. Right. Because it's not that there's an innate, a larger amount of people that feel comfortable coming out.
It's that he doesn't show you the earlier in it, where it's the same level, dips down, and keeps going straight level again.
Fair enough. But
so like they start from the bottom in history, and then make you think that's where it originally was, when in actuality, someone responded to his post with the full chart, and it shows throughout history, it's like 10%. Then there was a period where it dipped down and then went back to 10%.
Yeah. But
I told Lance, the guy from the Serfs, I said, y'all are sterilizing and aborting your kids. I don't care. I'm not a conservative. I'm not one of these pro-life conservatives begging you to save your kids. I'm sitting here being like, no, go ahead, get rid of them. 50 years, it'll be a conservative Christian country. What do I care? And then their response is just stone-faced. I don't know what to say to that. It's true. You don't have kids. And like you point out, they say, we're coming for your kids. And I'm like, you're not going to win that fight. You're going to win some kids from some parents, but we're already seeing the backlash with Loudoun County. We're already seeing parents say no to the woke stuff in schools, and it's causing them to freak out. It's causing the FBI to call them terrorists because they're losing. So you give it 20 years, and there's going to be more conservative voters. You give it 40 years, exponentially more. You combine the fact that conservatives have more kids with liberals abort their kids, and it is just mathematically impossible for the left to win. So I'm just like, look, guys, we got to be vigilant. We got to stand up. We got to call it out to make sure they don't indoctrinate this crazy stuff into the kids. Other than that, we just wait. They're for abortions up to any point. It's politically correct for them to be. My response to them is, thank you for aborting your kids. You're making the future better. They never respond.
Oil is so energy dense that once people discovered that oil could be used in all the things that it can be, the population on Earth skyrocketed. I mean, it's literally like, it makes Lance's left-handed chart look ridiculous. I mean, it's straight up.
Left-handed chart. On the one hand, I'm concerned about these children and whether or not these treatments actually are the right thing to do, because the science shows desistance rates are very, very high. We went over this with Lance from the Serfs, around reaching up to 98% or something like that. So most kids go through puberty and then they just stop experiencing this. And we've already seen in Europe, they've been abandoning these procedures. On the other hand, I think if Chris Hayes wants to sterilize his children, we shouldn't stop him. It's the funniest thing to me. We had Lance on, and the conversation around Daniel Penny, and I don't know if it was him, but it might have been AOC saying something like, you know, the right keeps blaming mental illness for all these things, but the Republicans defund these mental illness, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what Republican is running New York City? Lance from the Serfs, the leftist. I said, someone asked, what is a woman? And he says, easy, an adult human female. And I said, oh, okay, so trans women are not women. He goes, no, they are. Trans women are female, he said.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Lance.
I'm like, that makes no sense.
I explained to him that men that transition to be trans women are trans women and men at the same time. They don't stop being one to become the other. They become both. And he was like, no, that's not what they think. But I think he was telling me like what the current brainwashing is that they don't. But the reality is, you never stop being human when you become a trans man or a trans woman. You're still a human, you're still a man, and now you're a trans woman and a man and a human.
It really confuses me. Why is it that leftists are so afraid to say that they are homosexual? It may seem like a silly example, but I genuinely mean it. Lance from the Serfs comes on this show and says that it is heterosexual straight for a male to engage in adult activities with another male, so long as that male is effeminate. And I'm like,
I think he's messing with us, dude.
They're not. They've made this argument for like 10 years.
You got
to pay attention to the stuff. I remember 7 years ago.
You think he said that if you
trans lesbians exist, and you are completely wrong on this, Ian.
Man, anyway, sorry.
So my point is, why are they so afraid to admit that they're gay? Because I got no problem with people who are gay at all. But this guy Lance comes on the show and says he thinks it is straight for a male to engage in activities with a male, so long as the male's effeminate. Right. He even said to you, Ian, that if a male was to engage in relations with a manly, ugly woman, that would be gay.
But it's even though it's female.